the Productive Dentist Academy podcast network.
Listen, doctors, I know that digital advertising is expensive. So I guess what I want you to know is Google ads are not the end all be all. You have lots of options. And I think it's understanding what options you have and then what fits your practice the best.
Thanks for tuning into the Everyday Practices Dental podcast. I'm Reagan Robertson. My co-host Sara Hansen and I interview real dentists and experts who grow their dental practices using authentic marketing in a way that you can remember, repeat, and use in your own practice to get the patients you deserve. Let's dive in. Do you want to advertise on Google? Do you know if you already are advertising on Google? Do you know that aside from Google, there are other forms of digital advertising? Which is right for you? How much should you spend? How much do you expect to get in return? We today on Everyday Practices are going to dive into this subject to give you kind of the what's what so you can really use this information and apply it to your practice in a meaningful way so you're not wasting your dollars and you have a plan going forward. Sara, welcome to
Yeah.
our show together.
Hello.
I'm excited that you are our resident expert in this because this is part of your everyday world, digital advertising.
Yeah, and I think it's a conversation that I have all the time with doctors. It's probably one of the questions I get asked most actually is, should I do Google Ads? That's the question of the day.
This is my smile is huge because I am not a digital ads expert by any stretch of the imagination. Brand and story, I mean, I love that. Ask me questions all day long. Color psychology,
Mhm.
let's go. But when it gets into the actual execution of the advertising element, there are so many nuances out there that and changing rules all the time
Mhm.
that, it really takes someone dedicated that is gonna stay up on all of those trends and know. So I know this is something that you're very passionate about. How
Yeah.
do you define so that we can set the stage for today, how do you
Yeah.
define online advertising or digital advertising?
So digital advertising is really a big umbrella, I say, or a big pot full of anything that I would consider digital. So, Google Ads, social media, Hulu, even podcast commercials, all of those things, next door neighbor ads. Those are all the things that fall into what we call digital advertising. Most people, though, when you say digital advertising, everyone thinks of Google, but that really is just a small portion of the opportunities that are out there for doctors to really use in marketing. So it's fun because we get to explore new things all the time.
Doctor, if PPOs have you feeling restricted as a dentist, but you're not sure if going completely out of network is the right move for you, that tells me that you are right at the stage where having a strategy and plan is essential if you want to protect your revenue and grow. Investment Grade Practice, powered by Productive Dentist Academy, is hosting a live event this September that will help you design the right revenue mix for your practice. At Unrestricted, the End of PPO Dependency live, hands-on workshop, you get to work with renowned business and clinical experts who will help you analyze, clarify, design, align, and activate a plan so you don't have to feel restricted by PPOs ever again. Go to investmentgradepractice.com today for more information and to secure your seat. This event is strictly limited, so go to investmentgradepractice.com today. How do you know, like when you're taking a practice through their online advertising
Mhm.
strategy, what platforms they should be present in?
Yeah, this is not a one size fits all. Now, I know a lot of marketing companies will say, do Google ads. And while, yes, Google can be really successful, the problem with Google is we call it pay to play, right? So if you're in a highly competitive area for Google, it is going to cost you more to attract those leads based on the competition rather than in an area where maybe there's not as much competition. So, for example, if it's going to cost you $20 per click to attract a new patient, oftentimes we find other strategies in that community or that area that can, give the same amount of new patient results or opportunities coming to the practice without having to spend that much. So it's important that before doctors you go into any digital strategy that you have the research, that the marketing companies should be doing research, because while Google's great, there's oftentimes a lot of other opportunities that you can participate in with campaigns and get great attraction without having to spend a lot. And that's really where, the flexibility of marketing comes in, is that it's not one size fits all. You really have a lot of options that you can implement into your practice. So I think it becomes fun.
Okay, be my eyes and ears. Walk me
Okay.
through, walk me through deciding on, take me through like a common attraction goal that a practice
Ooh,
might
yeah.
have. What's a really common
Yeah.
goal? And then walk me through that process.
Yeah. So I would say most doctors are wanting to grow their practice in some way. So, really it comes down to the metrics behind it and what makes sense. So Reagan, as we want to have a budget, right? A marketing budget. We always recommend 4 to 8% of collections a month should be going towards your marketing. And when you look at that, and then we backstep into what is the gap? What is the growth gap that we're trying to fill? And what opportunities will help that practice grow within that gap? When we look at an area, so let's say you are in New York City, that comes top of mind because I was just there. Let's say you're in New York City, your opportunity within that area is going to be heavy with competition because you have a lot of dental practices in a very congested type of area. In a 4 to 12-mile area, you have a lot of competition, so your rates for attracting those patients are going to cost you a lot more. Now, if you're a dentist that is in the middle of Ohio somewhere, it's going to cost you a lot less to attract that. So when you're looking at the growth strategies, and here I'm going to geek out, Reagan, so get prepared. It's all about really identifying, do we want to just attract more new patients, and how do we want to do that? Is it that we want to grow the revenues, and how do we best do that? So when we look at community opportunities, when we look at radio is still a great opportunity that we consider digital. A new big thing is Hulu ads and streaming, because if your patient demographic is maybe middle-aged women, guess what, doctors? They're watching Hulu. And a great opportunity would be Hulu commercials. So, again, looking at the opportunities that are in your area. I know Next Door Neighbor is a huge opportunity digitally to be able to have ads and run them and have the community talk about you. So again, we
Tell
start to
wait,
look.
tell us what Next Door Neighbor is. It's an app, right? Is it
Yes,
an app?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so Next Door Neighbor is an app that a lot of communities have. Now, it's not big in every community. So, again, if it's an opportunity in your area, we want to explore that. But it's an app that a lot of cities or small towns are on, where they kind of can talk about different things within the city. If there's concerns, maybe they're looking for a dentist, they're looking for, hey, is there someone that can help mow my parents' lawn this summer, right? So it's kind of a community chat room almost. But what's great is you can actually advertise on that. So there's a lot of opportunities that I think, we forget about because we're so focused on Google and social media, which again, those are great opportunities, but are we missing out on other pieces that maybe don't cost as much and can still provide awesome new patients to your practice or the growth that we're looking for?
How has AI changed the landscape? Because I know when I search in Google or Bing, it'll come up
Yeah,
AI generated overview that kind of takes up a lot of real estate and can super dominate
yeah,
on top of the sponsored posts and the sponsored
yeah.
replies and whatnot. How have you adapted strategies to meet that that change in environment?
Yeah, so it's interesting because while Google is still ranking probably the number one search platform, what we know is that people now, especially the younger demographics, are utilizing ChatGPT,
Mhm.
Claude, all of those platforms, and they're actually using it as their search engine. And so, AI is an interesting conversation because people either love it, they hate it, or they're afraid of it, right? But what we know is that if we use it correctly and we use it in a way that helps support our growth goals, It is an awesome tool, and it really is becoming the next wave of some of that digital advertising. So make sure that you are utilizing those platforms for digital because there are opportunities now that, we're seeing within the market to be ranking on those other platforms. You know what? A big question I've been asked is Apple Maps lately as well.
Mhm.
A doctor asked me about that. Hey, what do we do on Apple Maps? With Apple Maps, well, yes, you can advertise on Apple Maps as well. It's not as heavily utilized. So again, it comes down to that cost versus, return on investment. So I always recommend researching that. But yes, that is going to be kind of the next wave that's hitting us is making sure that you're ranking for those different opportunities that you're showing up in AI platforms because people are now starting to use them.
Wow. So I heard budget, figure out your budget.
Yes.
And, the different types of advertising that exist right now today, what's coming on,
Mhm.
on the horizon with Apple Maps and some of the newer um, platforms. Can you talk to me again about the demographics, the psychographics, especially like where these people are really their digital footprint is being left in relation to growth? Because I hear a lot of agencies, they promise new patients. They don't really say on
Yeah.
what type of patients though. And
Mm.
the practice can be busy and still not filled with the patients that the dentist really deserves or wishes to serve. So how do
Yep.
you navigate that?
Yeah. So ads don't necessarily bring in the wrong patients, but you have to be intentional about your growth. So when you have a marketing system that's implemented into your practice and your core messaging is aligned, right? And those are some of the things that we've already been talking about on this podcast. But what is that messaging? What type of patient do you want to attract? It is really important that that messaging and basically your strategy is aligned with those ads. If your practice is built on high value relationship, best care, that sort of thing, we can actually align to those types of patients. But again, if you're working with a company and you feel like that you're attracting the wrong patients, it's probably because it's mismatched somehow with what you're looking for. So you can be really intentional and really targeted with who you're wanting to attract. Um, I guess it's good and bad in the fact that so much of what we consume is online and we do have a digital footprint that we leave, whether we like it or not. So, Reagan, have you ever been shopping for, I'm going to say a pair of shoes because I love shoes. For a pair of shoes, you go to a website, let's say DSW, you click on it, you look at a pair of shoes, maybe you even put it in your bag, but then you're like, let me think about it. And then that shoe like follows you around on
Oh
different
yeah.
platforms. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yes. So again, it tracks what you're doing and it's really wanting to know how are you consuming it and it's reminding you, "Hey, don't forget about me." And so
Top
there's
of
a
mind, top of
yeah,
mind.
top of mind. Remember how cute these shoes are?
Yeah.
So, but again, what that's doing is it's learning your algorithms and what things are speaking to you. It's just like with social media when you're scrolling. It starts to feed you things to see what you're clicking on, what you're liking, and then it starts to feed you more of that. So, when we do that with patients, when we create digital advertising, we're wanting to know one, how they consume media. So what platforms are important to them. So we know with, the older demographic, they really still like and utilize Facebook, where a lot of the,
Old
35 and
Facebook
unders,
hanging on.
I know it's still alive and well. And the younger demographics are doing more TikTok, right? Where us middle aged moms love Instagram. So, again, understanding how your patients or the potential patients that you want to target and attract to your practice, how they're consuming media is really important because now you can create the correct messaging and attract the patients that you want based on the strategy that you need to hit those growth goals.
What do you want doctors to know about engaging in digital advertising and if it's right for them at this time?
Yeah. So, listen, doctors, I know that digital advertising is expensive. So, I guess what I want you to know is Google ads are not the end all be all. You have lots of options. And I think it's understanding what options you have and then what fits your practice the best. If Google ads are right for you, by all means, let's do it, right? But if they're not, I don't want you to feel discouraged. You have a lot of options, a lot of opportunities on several different platforms that create the same amount of patient attraction that Google ads would, without you having to spend a ton, and you can still maintain that marketing budget.
Thank you, Sarah. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you want listeners to know when it comes to the success? What I love, by the way, is I already feel like, regardless of my budget, because 4 to 8% of your collections, that can vary depending on the practice, who you see, and the area that you live in compared to
Mhm.
competition. So it could be an abundance or it could be not even enough to touch the surface. So I love that it sounds like there is a digital advertising,
Yeah.
solution and strategy that will work for me regardless of what the budget is. Is there anything else you want our listeners to take away?
Yeah. No, I mean, really, doctors, it's just about understanding what is best for you. And, again, your practice is not the same as every other practice down the street. So, really diving into what strategy makes sense for you, how the growth goals will be achieved. And that is really, I would say, my number one recommendation is just really look around, see what opportunities are there. We're always happy to help look at demographics as well for you. That's easy for us to do. So if you're like, hey, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing here or if it makes sense, shoot me an email. And again, I'm happy to kind of pull that for you. And I'd be happy to give that to you. And that way you can find really what makes sense.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah.
Yeah.
Doctors, if you know anybody who's considering Google advertising, send them this podcast before they pull the
Yes.
trigger.
Yes. Thanks, Reagan.
Thanks, Sarah. Hey, thanks for joining us on Everyday Practices Dental Podcast. It would mean the world to me if you could leave us a like or a review on iTunes or go to Productive Dentist Academy through Google and leave us a review there. We are here each week to talk about what's possible when you leave your practice with clarity and courage. If you are ready to build a business that supports your life and not the other way around, investment grade practice coaching powered by Productive Dentist Academy can help. Visit investmentgradepractice.com to schedule your free 60-minute coaching session so you can start designing the practice and lifestyle you've been dreaming about all along.